Hi, it's Kim. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking about my 2023 reading journal that I have right over here. So I do have a video on my channel going over my 2022 reading journal as well as a little bit of a flip from my 2021. I actually don't remember. So there's videos or a video on my channel all about my reading journal. And the reason why I guess I'm a little bit confused as to what is already there is because I have a few years in one book. My idea, my plan, my goal is I'll probably have about 5 years worth of reading journal stuff in this one book. So that's why I wasn't quite sure what I showed on this channel, but I think there's only one video and it's covering 2022 setup, and I do a flip of 2021. That's what it is. Okay. So today's video is all about my 2023 reading journal. So to give you a bit of backstory, I did learn a lot about how I set things up for 2022 because I feel like 2022 was a lot busier. So maybe I didn't have enough time to do things the way I was doing it in 2021. So I switched some things up. I didn't quite like all of the things that I switched up, which we will talk through. So I've decided to do something a little bit different for 2023 going forward. And another thing I would like to point out is that even though I have all of the years in this one book, and it is an A5 stylogy that I have pretty chunked up, I'll go over the details further when I turn you around and let you see what's going on. But though I do have a few years in this one book, each year has its own look, theme, feel. So that's what I'm going for 2023 especially. I feel like 2023 looks a lot different than years past. And so far, 2023 will be my 3rd year in this particular reading journal. Also, it will be my 3rd year keeping a reading journal. All right, enough blabbering on. I'm going to flip the camera around and give you a close-up view of what I have going on inside of my reading journal for this year. All right, so first things first, let's get the elephant out of the room. My reading journal is now in a different cover. This is an A5 Codex from Vanderspec, and this is the Touch Me leather, and the color is mocha. It's a super, super, super dark brown. All right, so getting into it, I'll take you through and show you kind of how I have it set up. I know I mentioned that I have a few years worth of my reading journal in this one A5 stylogy. So this is what it looks like when we first open up. Over here I have some previously printed out like book graphics and images that I will use for things that are coming up later. I have this little folder for that as well. So that's what I have stuck in there, and then nothing else for the most part. And then when I flip open to the intro page, I have my reading journal, and I started it in January 2021, and however long this goes, that's when I will finish it. And I never put my name there. Now I'm realizing. All right, so let's flip to 2023. But actually, you know what? Before we do that, I'll show you kind of like the highlight of the whole reading journal aspect for me. I really love seeing these layouts where you see all the books that were read throughout the entire year. And of course you can't do that until the end of the year. So before I went in to start setting up 2023, I did this for 2022, and it's really cool just to see all of the books that I was able to read throughout the year. And I did meet my Goodreads goal, so that was very cool. And then I have my list of all the books that I read. I have an anticipated releases spread, which I did decide to bring back for 2023, but I did it a little bit differently. And then some other trackers and page counts and everything. So similarly, I do have something like this set up for 2023, just in a slightly different format. Something that I think I will enjoy more. Or just to try it out to see which one I do actually enjoy more. And then here's my Goodreads challenge. For the year, it was 30 books. And On my list I actually have 33. There were 2 that I did not finish. So I guess technically I read 31 books. And I just realized I didn't fill in the ratings for those, which I have to go back and do. So that's that. Now let's get into 2023. So starting out, I was going with a very moody, monochrome, lack of color kind of thing. I didn't want it to be super colorful, and I really wanted to play up like the grays or different shades of gray and black, and this is the image that I chose. So I selected this from something I found on Pinterest, printed it out onto sticker paper, put it onto here, and then these letters are a common theme, or numbers I should say. This font is a common theme throughout the entire 2023 setup. And this is a free font, and it's called Persona Non Grata. And I found it on defont.com, I believe. So that's what that is. It gives me like kidnapper kind of vibes, you know, like when they open up the newspaper and cut out different letters and paste them together. So that's what I was going for. So here is the, like I said, the bread and butter of the reading journal. So this is where I will place all of my book images of the books that I've read for 2023. Even though I do have a specific number goal of books, I don't know if I will meet that goal. I think I will. Or, you know, if I exceed that goal, I would need to fit more books than that. So that's why I reserve this spot for the entire year, and I don't add anything to it until the end of the year, until I know exactly how many books I will have read for the year. And then the next spread, so this is my anticipated releases spread for 2023. I wanted to kind of highlight this spread a little bit more than I did back in 2022. 2022 was kind of an afterthought. I don't even think I went back to update it much as the year went on, so it was very bare for the most part. It did serve its purpose because I did read a few books off of here, but it was just something I never came back to. So I wanted to make it more of a focal point for 2023, and that's exactly what I did here. I used that same font up at the top to spell out anticipated releases, and then I have a box for each month of the year. I also used a digital printable from High Paper Clouds, and that's that graffiti printable that I have in the background. So even though I said I wanted to do like the absence of color, there are a few pops of color here and there. This is also a digital background or digital paper from High Paper Clouds, these gray bricks that I think are really cool and will look even better with the books on top of it at the end of the year. So this is my anticipated releases spread. I still haven't even finished filling it out. I want to go on to Goodreads to see if there are other books that are coming out that I haven't heard of yet, or you know, anything that is updated, and I'll continue to reference this and update this as the year progresses. So the next spread I decided to do is a TBR, which I've titled What's Next, and I did separate it into physical and digital books. I wasn't sure if I should have, because I feel like my list of physical books is always going to remain fairly small for the most part, because I don't have a large library in which to keep all of these physical copies of books. So I mostly get digital books, and while I do prefer to read a physical book, I normally just get them from my local library. So it's nothing that I'm keeping and holding on to. But these are the books that I have in my physical library that I haven't yet read, and there's only 3 on the list so far. And then there's a number of books that I have, or ebooks that I've downloaded, that are in the queue and waiting for me. So I do really want to pay attention to my TBR this year so that I can get a lot more of these checked off, because I feel like I haven't updated this much in the 2 years that I've been in this reading journal or in this book. So over on the right side is the list of the books read that I will read for 2023, and we are now at the beginning of February. So I've already added all the books that I read for January, and I did number it down to 36. I haven't yet filled in these ratings yet, but that's okay. I did put the dates in, and that'll be my long list of all the books that I have read throughout the year. And then again, I do have a Goodreads spread for this year, and my goal this year is 36 books. So that is what I'm aiming for 2023. And then on the right hand side, I have a spread for my book club books. My book club is very sad. There's 3 of us, only 2 of us really read the books. You know, we just discuss anything besides books, but that's where I'll put the reads that we do. And also my husband and I do like to read a couple of books together throughout the year, so that's where I'll put those books as well, just a place to park them and to kind of highlight them a little bit. Really, I had an extra page and I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to put on it, so I felt like this would be a good spot to show off those books that I read with other people throughout the year. And then here is my 2-page reading tracker. I did take inspiration from Heba and her page, I believe, My Little Journal. I'll link it down below. But I noticed that she did a daily reading tracker, and I like the way she had it set up. And it's a 2-page spread. So instead of doing it the way I had it back in 2022, where I just did a dot for each day that I read throughout the year, I put it on a 2-page spread, and I'll likely use the same marker, I'm thinking. It's Tombow 553 if you're interested. And for January, I already put the pages read on the little blocks or the little days. I'm not entirely certain if that's what I will continue to do, because it was after I set everything up that I realized I didn't have a spot to record my monthly page counts, or like how many books or how many pages I will have read for the entire year. I'm still debating if that's information I want to track or not, but I can if I want to. So I just put in the actual pages read on each day that I did read. So I think it'll be really fun to see this filled in for the whole year. And then it goes right into my monthly spreads. And this is the part where I felt a little bit underwhelmed from 2022. So to give you an example, this is what my monthly spreads for 2022 looked like. And I did 2 types of charts, 2 types of kind of bar charts or graphs. And this one is the daily page count, and it does give like the total number, and it looks pretty nice. I have it color coded depending on the book that I read. And then this one was like a monthly tracker to see what days I was reading what book. I saw like an example of this on Instagram, I'm sure, and I feel like it looks a lot more interesting if you're a person who reads multiple books at the same time. I'm not. I like to read one book and then I'll move on to the next. Once I finish that, I'll move on to the next, and so on. So it doesn't really look like a very interesting graphic to really include on a monthly spread. So I did abandon this, and I did this in a different kind of way for 2023. So going back to the way I set things up for 2021, this is a pretty good example. So I just used like a mini calendar and color coded which books I read throughout the month. That was okay. I kind of feel like this is lacking something as well. Like I need to write something on here, but I'm not sure what. But anyway, I brought that back, just in a slightly different format, different shape. And I do have my daily page count. So here on the bottom is all of the days of the month, so 1 to 31 for January, and then on the side it goes from 0 to like 250 for my page counts, or the pages read. Actually, technically 220. So here is where I did mark what I read throughout the month, or the days that I read. So it's it's quite redundant for that. And looking back on it, I'm now wondering why I didn't color code it. So as you can see here, I have 3 books that I did finish for the month. There was a 4th that was started. I didn't even bother putting it down here. And I do have the highlighted days for the days that I was reading those books. So I feel like it would make sense if I use these corresponding colors down here as well. And maybe that's something I'll do for February. We shall see. But I wanted to make the monthly spreads a little more involved, a little more information to obtain from them. But as I'm looking at it now, I feel like there's not a lot that I added. I could do like a favorite book of the month, but I don't even, or favorite quote. That might be a good idea, but I don't quite have space for it. But anyway, this is what January is looking like. I used the printable library card from my minimal planner here. I just thought it was a really cute addition. And then I have the monthly stickers from High Paper Clouds. The washi and the other floral stickers are also from High Paper Clouds. So that's what I did. Not too much color. Still sticking with that one Tombow. I'm pretty sure I'll change it for each month and likely use a color that is pretty toned down, and then stick with other shades of gray in between. And also with my monthly spreads, something I have entertained is setting up each month ahead of time. But that requires me to know how many spreads I need to leave in between each month. I'm thinking 2 spreads per month is my little note to myself. I'm thinking I'll use 2 spreads per month. So 1, 2, that's 1 spread, and then that's another spread, and then this is where February would start. And then depending on however many books I read for the month, that's the space and that's the area that I have to put those spreads that I want for the month. So another big thing that will be different from 2022 is I kept it pretty minimal on my spreads, and I actually didn't love it. So I printed these like titles out from Canva. I just made them up with the image from the book and a place for the start date, finish date, clear that and fill those in. But I do have the star ratings that I was able to fill in, and then just a little blurb about my feelings on the book. So that's what I did throughout 2020. What is this? 2022. I didn't love it as much as I loved my spreads from 2021. So these are my spreads from 2021, and some books got a 2-page spread. Some books got just like a 1-page spread. And that got a 2-page spread. But what I feel like is doing this, something a little more creative, helps me remember the books a lot more. Helps me, as soon as I flip to this, I can connect to what this means to me or what this reminds me. Whereas if I'm looking at like this, it's reminding me of nothing aside from maybe these 2 additional images. So I want to make it more of a moment for each book. So I'm going to do some kind of spread for each book. Now I do have things that I printed out for the books that I read in January, and I haven't quite put those spreads together yet, and there's a few reasons. So these are the images that I want to include in those spreads for the January books, but I haven't yet decided if I want to use these that I created. So they're the same images where I have like the book cover, start date, finish date, number of pages, and like a rating for all of those books. I don't think I want to use that. I think I want to do something that's just a little more creative, a little more, you know, journal-y, instead of using those pre-printed things. So I may just do something like this where I use the larger image from the book and then put it all together. But who knows? I don't know. Well, maybe for some books in 2023 I'll do that way. For some books I might do it this way. We'll just see where the wind blows, but I'm leaning towards wanting to do more creative spreads for each book as the year goes on. That, however, would take more time away from me, which is why I'm thinking I should just go ahead and set up the monthly spreads at least, to kind of have those in place and those ready. And then as I reserve like the 2 full spreads per month, I'll fill them up however I need to. So for January I read 3 books, so maybe one of those books will be a 2-page spread, and then the other 2 books will each have 1 page of their own. I'll figure that out. But I do know that once I do set up these spreads, which I'm doing this week, I will be sure to post those on Instagram, maybe as a reel or like a short video where I kind of flip through and show how I set up those spreads for the month of January. This has gotten me more excited for my reading journal again. Excited to kind of get into it and to be a lot more creative with it. So I really am looking forward to seeing how it's going to look at the end of 2023 and just how it'll evolve over the year. So that's pretty much it. That sums up my reading journal for 2023. And I think I will do some check-ins during the year to show you guys how it's going. If you would be interested in something like that, definitely please leave me a comment down below so I can know that that is what you might be interested in. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, leave me a comment letting me know what you're reading at the moment or what's on your list of things to read for 2023. I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.